On March 8, 2024, a piece of the International Space Station crashed through the roof of Alejandro Otero's house in Naples, Florida. It punched through 2 floors. It nearly hit his son. It was a 1.6-pound chunk of Inconel, a nickel alloy designed to survive extreme heat, from a battery pallet that NASA had jettisoned 3 years earlier. NASA said it would burn up. It did not. That chunk of metal should not exist. Every model NASA ran said 5,800 pounds of depleted batteries would disintegrate on re-entry. The models were wrong. And the reason the models were wrong is the same reason this entire video exists. The International Space Station is old. Older than its designers ever expected it to operate. And the things going wrong with it are no longer the things anyone planned for. On a 2024 report from NASA's Office of Inspector General, identified 588 components on the ISS that are operating beyond their planned operational lifetimes. 588 parts that were designed to last a certain number of years, and have exceeded that number. The astronauts currently living on the station are surrounded by hardware that has outlived its warranty, and the station's retirement is still 4 years away. You are about to find out what happens when the most complex machine ever built starts dying from the inside. Here is the thing most people do not understand about the ISS. It was not designed to last 30 years. The first module, Zarya, launched in 1998 with a design life of 15 years. That means by 2013, the station was already operating in overtime. We are now in 2026. That module is 28 years old. So it was designed for half that. And the ISS is not a single machine. It is a Frankenstein of 16 pressurized modules, a 109-meter truss, 4 sets of solar arrays, and roughly 13 kilometers of electrical wiring, all bolted together across 40 assembly missions over 13 years. Each component was manufactured by a different contractor, in a different country, to a different specification, during a different decade. Some of the hardware currently in orbit was built in the early 1990s, before the World Wide Web existed. You are reading this sentence on a device that is younger than the toilets on the ISS. The station was designed with an assumption. The space shuttle would always be available to deliver oversized replacement parts, solar array joints, cooling system radiators, ammonia pump modules. So these are massive components that cannot fit inside a Dragon capsule or a Progress freighter. When the shuttle retired in 2011, NASA lost the ability to replace the largest items on the station. The ISS was designed for a supply chain that no longer exists. And here is the cruel irony. The station has been so successful, so scientifically productive, so politically valuable, that everyone wants it to keep flying. The US, Japan, Canada, and Europe committed to operating through 2030. Russia through 2028. But the hardware does not care about political commitments. Metal fatigues, seals degrade, electronics drift, and 588 parts are ticking. Let me walk you through what is actually failing, because the number 588 is abstract until you see the specifics. Start with the most dramatic, the spacesuits. The extravehicular mobility units used on the ISS were designed in the 1970s. They have been in service since the shuttle era in the 1980s. Their original design life was 15 years. They are now over 40 years old. On July 16, 2013, ESA astronaut Luca Parmitano was conducting a routine spacewalk when water began filling his helmet. Not a trickle, a flood. Within minutes, 1.5 liters of water covered his eyes, blocked his nose, and filled his ears. He could not see. He could not hear. He could not communicate. He navigated back to the airlock by memory alone, essentially blind and deaf in the vacuum of space. His crewmate Chris Cassidy radioed mission control. "It is a lot of water. His head is saturated. It is in his eyes, as well as in his nose and mouth. Squeeze my hand if you are fine, Luca. I do not think he can. His voice is going out. He looks miserable, but okay." NASA called it a high-visibility close call. He nearly drowned in space. The investigation found a clogged filter in the suit's cooling system, a failure mode nobody had anticipated. And critically, the same suit had leaked during a spacewalk 1 week earlier, on July 9th. The leak was noticed, but misdiagnosed as a leaking drink bag. The earlier warning was missed. If that sounds familiar, a warning that was noticed but not escalated until catastrophe nearly followed. It should. The Columbia accident in 2003 followed the same pattern. 9 years later, it happened again. In March 2022, ESA astronaut Matthias Maurer completed a spacewalk and returned to the airlock. His crewmate Kayla Barron found water inside his helmet. NASA suspended all non-emergency spacewalks for 7 months. Then, in June 2024, NASA astronaut Tracy Dyson's suit developed a coolant leak from its umbilical just 31 minutes into a spacewalk. The excursion was aborted. Collins Aerospace, which held the contract to deliver replacement ISS suits, withdrew from the program entirely. Their timeline would not support the space station's schedule. The suits are too old to trust and too obsolete to replace, but the suits are just the beginning. The solar arrays, those massive gold wings that generate electricity for the entire station, are degrading. Every year, they lose a fraction of their power output as the cells age and the coatings erode from micrometeorite impacts and ultraviolet radiation. NASA has been bolting new rollout solar arrays on top of the old ones to compensate, like patching a leaking roof by building a new roof on top of it. I'd now pause. I want your honest prediction. Do you think the ISS will actually make it to 2030? 588 expired parts, cracking Russian modules, and 50-year-old spacesuits and all? Camp A. Yes, engineers always find a way. Camp B. No, something will force an early retirement. Drop your answer in the comments. I will tell you what the data says. Camp A has history on its side. Engineers have kept the ISS alive through crises that would have killed any lesser program. In December 2013, a pump module in the station's external cooling system failed. The cooling system uses ammonia, one of the most toxic chemicals humans work with in space, to regulate the temperature of every module, every experiment, and every computer on the station. When the pump failed, half the station's cooling capacity vanished. Their astronauts Rick Mastracchio and Mike Hopkins performed emergency spacewalks on Christmas Eve to replace the unit. They succeeded. The station survived. In July 2021, Russia's newly arrived Nauka module fired its thrusters unexpectedly while docked, spinning the entire 450-ton station 540 degrees, 1.5 full rotations. The crew lost attitude control for 47 minutes. Flight controllers regained it by firing opposing thrusters on the Russian segment and a docked Progress vehicle. No one was hurt. The station survived. In 2025, NASA astronauts performed spacewalks to install new rollout solar arrays, preparing the station's power system for its final years. The ISS program has a team whose entire job is to track every component, model its degradation, and predict when it will fail, often catching problems months or years before they become critical. The 588 expired parts are not a secret. They are known, tracked, and mitigated. Camp A says, this is what engineering is. You build margins, you monitor, you adapt. Camp B says, you are confusing survival with safety. The ISS has survived every crisis so far. But the probability curve is not flat. Every year the station ages. The likelihood of a coincident failure, two things going wrong at the same time, increases. A pump failure alone is manageable. A pump failure during a leak in the Russian segment, while a spacesuit is compromised, is not. The OIG report did not just count 588 expired parts. It noted that supply chains for some components have dried up entirely. If certain parts cannot be manufactured anymore, because the original contractors have gone out of business, the tooling has been scrapped, or the specifications were written in formats that modern systems cannot read. And then there is the human cost. In January 2026, Crew 11, the SpaceX mission currently on the station, performed the first medical evacuation in ISS history. An astronaut required urgent return to Earth for medical reasons. The Dragon capsule undocked and brought the crew home weeks ahead of schedule. It was not a hardware failure, but it was a reminder that when you are 250 miles above the Earth, surrounded by 588 expired components, your margin for error is measured in minutes, not days. On Casey Dreyer of the Planetary Society summarized the situation in a single sentence. The last thing NASA wants is to lose astronauts on a station by pushing it too long. Here is the evidence that changes the entire debate. Forget whether the ISS can survive to 2030. The real question is what comes after. And the answer, right now, is nothing. NASA's plan is to transition from the ISS to commercially owned space stations. 3 companies are in the running. Axiom Space plans to attach its first module to the ISS in 2027, then separate it into an independent station before the ISS is deorbited. But Axiom is in financial trouble. Reports in late 2024 described a severe cash crunch and suggested its private astronaut missions are operating at a loss. Starlab, a joint venture of Voyager Space and Airbus, plans to launch an entire station on a single SpaceX Starship flight in 2029. That plan depends entirely on a rocket that is still in early testing. Blue Origin's orbital reef completed human-in-the-loop testing in April 2025, but has been delayed repeatedly. The Dark Horse, Vast's Haven 1, targets a test station launch in 2026, but it can only host 4 people for 2 weeks. NASA hopes to award Phase 2 operational contracts in mid-2026, with commercial stations operational by 2028, creating a 2-year overlap with the ISS. But in 2021, the Inspector General's office issued a blunt assessment. In our judgment, even if early design maturation is achieved in 2025, a challenging prospect in itself, a commercial platform is not likely to be ready until well after 2030. And the stakes of that gap are existential. Without a working station, the OIG warned, the nascent low-Earth orbit commercial space economy would likely collapse, causing cascading impacts to commercial space transportation capabilities, in-space manufacturing, and microgravity research. So the ISS is trapped. It is too old to be safe and too necessary to stop. Every year it flies past its design, life increases the risk. Every year it retires early increases the gap. The 588 expired parts are not just a maintenance problem. They are a countdown. And nobody knows what the number was supposed to reach before the clock runs out. Now, zoom out. Because the 588 parts are a symptom of something much larger than the ISS. Humanity has maintained a continuous presence in space for over 25 years. Every single day since November 2nd, 2000, there has been at least one human being living off-planet. That unbroken chain stretches across 4 U.S. presidents, 3 wars, a global pandemic, and the rise and fall of entire industries. Astronauts aboard the ISS have conducted more than 3,300 experiments. They have contributed to cancer research, pharmaceutical design, water purification technology, combustion science, and our understanding of the long-term effects of microgravity on the human body. Knowledge that is essential if we ever want to send humans to Mars. The 588 expired parts threaten all of it. Not because any single component will catastrophically fail tomorrow, but because the cumulative risk of operating a machine decades past its design life compounds every month. And because there is no backup. If the ISS goes down before a commercial station is ready, the chain breaks. The 25 years of continuous human presence in space, gone. The research programs that depend on microgravity, paused or cancelled. The commercial ecosystem of launch providers, cargo companies, and in-orbit manufacturers that have grown up around the station, left without a customer. China's Tiangong station, operational since 2022, would become the only crewed outpost in low Earth orbit. The strategic implications of that are staggering. Space is not a luxury. It is where the communication satellites live, where the GPS network operates, where the weather forecasting systems gather data, where the missile early warning constellations orbit. The country that controls continuous access to low Earth orbit controls the infrastructure that modern civilization depends on. And the ISS was built on the premise that maintaining human presence in space is worth almost any cost. That premise is now being tested by 588 parts that have exceeded their engineering limits, a set of spacesuits designed before anyone on the station was born, a crack in a Russian module that nobody can agree is safe, and a replacement schedule that the Inspector General says will not arrive on time. Every day the ISS continues to fly is a bet that the engineers will catch the next failure before it cascades, a bet that the old hardware will hold, a bet that the supply chains for 40-year-old parts will not dry up, a bet that the next spacesuit will not leak. So far, every bet has paid off. The question is how long you keep doubling down. Here is what no one at NASA will say publicly, but every engineer understands privately. The ISS has been the single greatest engineering achievement in human history. It is also operating on borrowed time. Those two facts are not contradictory. They are the same fact viewed from different distances. The station was designed to last 15 years. It has lasted 28. It was designed for a world where the space shuttle would deliver replacement parts. The shuttle has been retired for 15 years. It was designed with spacesuits that had a 15-year life. Those suits are over 40 years old. It was designed with a Russian segment that would be maintained jointly. That segment is cracking, and the two partners cannot agree on whether the cracks are dangerous. So the question is this: is the ISS a monument to human ingenuity? Proof that we can build something so well it outlasts every prediction? Or is it a warning? Proof that we will push any machine past its limits if the alternative is admitting we failed to build a replacement in time? Because both are true, and both should terrify you. Tell me what you think. And if you want to know what Russia plans to do with its cracking, leaking modules after they detach from the station, and why the answer is even more alarming than the question, that is the next video. I will see you there.